This free step-by-step video comes to you directly from Haynes, creators of the world's best repair manuals. Fix your car or truck the right way with our accurate and reliable information at your side. You can complete more than 200 jobs on this vehicle when you purchase the complete online manual at Haynes.com.
Warning: gasoline is extremely flammable and repairing fuel system components can be dangerous. Consider your automotive repair knowledge and experience before attempting any repairs which may be better suited for a professional mechanic. Always have a fire extinguisher on hand and work in a well-ventilated area. Don't work in a garage with a gas-type appliance, such as a water heater or clothes dryer, and never allow open flames or bare light bulbs near the work area. Clean up spills immediately and do not store fuel-soaked rags where they could ignite. Before accessing the fuel pump for removal, relieve the fuel system pressure using the following technique. Remove the fuel filler cap to relieve any pressure built up in the tank. Pull the hood latch inside the vehicle, then slide the hood release lever and raise the hood upward. Open the fuse and relay panel inside the engine compartment and locate the fuel pump fuse using the guide on the inside of the fuse box cover. The fuse should be marked as number 67 on this model. Pull the fuel pump fuse, then start the engine until it stalls. Once the engine stalls or can no longer start, crank the starter for 3 more seconds, then turn the ignition key to the off position. The fuel pressure is now relieved, but remember, fuel is still present in the system components to be removed. Take precautions accordingly before disconnecting any of them. Warning: the fuel delivery system on 2010 and later models is made up of a low pressure system and a high pressure system. Once the pressure on the low pressure side of the system has been relieved, wait at least 2 hours before loosening any fuel line fittings in the engine compartment. It's a good idea to cover any fuel connection to be disassembled with rags to absorb the residual fuel that may leak out. Properly dispose of the rags. With the ignition key in the off position, pry up on the sides of the battery cover and remove the cover. Then loosen the negative battery cable nut and disconnect the cable from the negative terminal of the battery. Remove the fuel tank. Note: it is much easier to remove the tank when it's nearly empty. There is no fuel tank drain plug, so if there is a lot of fuel in the tank, siphon or hand pump the remaining fuel from the tank through the tank filler neck pipe. Warning: never start the siphoning action by mouth. Use a siphoning kit, available at most auto parts stores. Raise the rear of the vehicle and support it securely on jack stands. Block the front wheels. Remove the rear portion of the exhaust system that runs under the fuel tank, starting with the flange fasteners midway under the vehicle. Remove the rear exhaust pipe mounting fasteners near the mufflers. Disconnect the pipe from its hangers and remove the rear portion of the exhaust pipe. Disconnect the evap system vent line for the fuel filler neck hose, then loosen the hose clamp and disconnect the fuel tank filler hose. Disconnect the fuel feed line, evap line, and fuel pressure sensor electrical connector. Be prepared for some residual fuel to leak out. Remove the fasteners from the front of the right rear interfender splash shield. Then pull the splash shield back enough to disconnect the fuel pump module electrical connector. Also disconnect the wiring harness clips from the body. Support the fuel tank with a floor jack or suitable lowering device. Remove the bolts from the 2 fuel tank support straps, then swing the straps downward and disconnect them from the hinge pivot points. Carefully lower the fuel tank the rest of the way, keeping it balanced. Use 2 floor jacks if necessary. Disconnect the fuel line and electrical connectors from the pump, noting the proper location of each connection for installation. Use a shop rag to soak up any spilled fuel. Mark the orientation of the fuel pump in relation to the fuel tank to ensure that the fuel pump is correctly realigned when you install it again. Using a pair of large pliers, unscrew the fuel pump module lock nut, turning it counterclockwise. Pull the pump out just enough to disconnect the fuel line fitting on the underside of the pump. Remove the pump assembly, taking care not to damage the fuel level sensor float arm. Replace the O-ring with a new one. Being careful not to damage the float arm, lower the pump module into the tank, far enough to connect the inside fuel line fitting to the pump. Install the pump and align the tabs on the pump correctly. Install the lock ring and rotate it clockwise with pliers until it is fully secured. Connect the electrical connector and the fuel line quick connect fittings to the fuel pump module. Be sure to snap all wiring harnesses or fuel lines securely into the tank body. Carefully raise the fuel tank up into the vehicle. Avoid pinching any wiring harnesses or fuel lines when raising. Install the fuel tank support straps, first by attaching them to their pivot points. Swing the straps upward and install the mounting bolts. Tighten the bolts securely. Remove the floor jack or lifting device. Connect the fuel pump module electrical connector and any wiring harness clips. Install the fasteners for the inner fender splash shield. Connect the fuel tank filler hose and tighten the hose clamp securely. Connect the evap vent line quick connect fitting. Connect the fuel feed line, evap line, and fuel pressure sensor electrical connector. Install the exhaust pipe onto the hangers. Then install the rear pipe mounting bolts at the muffler side. Tighten the mounting bolts securely. Using a new gasket, install the front portion of the pipe to the flange. Tighten the bolts securely. Safely lower the vehicle. Install the fuel pump fuse. Connect the cable to the negative terminal of the battery and tighten the negative cable nut securely. Install the battery cover, securing all the side retaining tabs.